Now, from Atlanta News First Plus, this is Sports Tonight.
Happy WNBA Draft Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're getting all excited about before we started today. Welcome to Sports Tonight. I'm sports producer Scott Pennyman here with the sports director Bailey Burmaster. Bailey, how you feeling?
I feel great. Things are going good. WNBA Draft was last night. It was a big hit.
Big night.
There's so many things to talk about. I am going to tag Ellie in here at one point. I do just want to make my solid point before I tag her in.
Calm down.
That
You'll have your opportunity.
She's coming. She's coming.
She's
ready.
To just dart over here right now and sack you like a quarter.
And I'm not even going to talk like major WNBA draft stuff. I just love this fact that Prada has never dressed anyone for the draft.
Oh.
NBA or WNBA.
Lots of Prada last
and
night.
Caitlin Clark came in decked out in Prada last night. Fit was on fire. Angel Reese also looked great. You have the numbers pulled up for viewership. Go through these because people have to hear these.
So just to get some perspective on how popular the WNBA draft was last night and opposed to previous years. So go back to 2020. Obviously, that year was a pandemic, but 378,000 people watched the WNBA draft. The very next year, went down 331,000, 403,000 in 2022. Then back up a little bit, 2023, 572,000. But this year, keep that last figure in mind, 572,000 people watched last year's WNBA draft. This year, over 2.4 million.
2.4, that's like 5 times the amount.
Right. Over 2.4 million people watched the WNBA draft. And you can call it whatever you want to call it. You can call it the Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark effect, whatever you want to call it. I don't think it even matters. Just the fact that we're sitting here starting a show today talking about the WNBA draft lets you know how far everything has come. So really, I don't care what the effect is. I know Caitlin Clark obviously has a tremendous effect in her fan base, Angel Reese and what they did at the college level together. But there's so many other great players too. Camila Cordoso from South Carolina, another very popular player. But just to see the WNBA get their shine, get their flowers in a way that they never have before, to me I think it's special, and I think it's really dope.
Yeah, no, I think it's so cool how everyone has rallied around not only just college women's basketball, but also the WNBA, and it's going to put the WNBA more on the map. So I'm excited to see how Clark and Reese and all these girls, get into their rookie year. We will talk about specifically the dream, but before that, I am going to tag Ellie in. She's been dying to talk about the WNBA
Ellie,
draft.
are you ready?
She
Chicago,
loves this stuff. Come on, get over here, You're dying. I'm going to let you go on your rant. Go in, tag in. Here we go.
And Ellie, you're Mrs. Chicago, right?
So I'm a Chicago Sky fan. I've been a Sky fan basically since the Eldon days, so a very long time. Good luck to any other WNBA team getting any rebounds off this team next year with Camila Cardoso and Angel Reese. Oh my God, I love this draft. I loved it. These two are going to be the bedrock of a rebuilding Sky team. It's going to be the second year under head coach Teresa Witherspoon. And God, these games are going to be so fun to watch. It's going to be so fun. I'm so excited. It's really the most excited I've been since that championship run back in 2021. So, I'm, as a Chicago Sky fan, extremely happy with the results.
I was talking about that. I said, a personality like Angel Reese, I put it on my social media page, a personality like Angel Reese needs to be in a
Chicago?
Big city.
Oh my God. The WNBA just need to jump on that.
Right.
In Chicago, in the third largest media market in the country.
Exactly, like I said.
The Sky have the opportunity to be the only sports team in the city that actually treats it like the third largest market in the country.
Absolutely. So I think it's great for the WNBA to have a player like Angel Reese and even Cordoso with the amount of popularity that she picked up this past year, to have them in a big market where there'll be a lot of eyes on the both of them. There'll be a lot of eyes on that team. And I almost promise you, the first time they play the Indiana Fever, that's going to be on some sort of national TV.
Those pairings, those are going to be some fun games.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
But big
Tag
night.
back in.
Big night. Tag team.
All right, so let's talk
This
about.
ain't fair. I got to go against two people. All right, I got to.
We got to find someone else now to tag you, and we can have debates now.
This isn't fair. We get to tag out of the base. That's not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be straight up. We got
Listen.
2 against 1. That's okay. Look, I can handle all the smoke. It's all
Okay,
good. It's all good.
noted. I'm gonna
All right.
remember you said
I can
that,
handle all
Scott.
the
Okay.
smoke. Come on, what do you got, Bailey? What do you
Okay,
got?
let's talk about the Atlanta Dream. Their 3 picks. They had the 12th, the 20th, and the 32nd pick.
Nice.
With the 12th pick, they picked Nadiu Poch from Australia. She is 19 years old. Everyone they chose, and then there's Isabel Bolas. I think I said her name right. Excuse me
I'm
if I
glad
didn't.
you had to say these names and not me.
And then Matilda Villa, I believe. I'm hoping I'm not butchering these names. Okay, I'm not great with names, but
all
they
good.
are all from overseas. 2 from Australia, 1 from Italy. They're both 19. All of them are 19.
Nice.
All of them are 19. So very young.
You.
Definitely drafting for the future and doing it right by wanting to develop players. So that's the core for this team after they went and got a bunch of veterans in the offseason. We did get to hear from Coach and the GM after the draft. So let's go to that sound and hear what they had to say.
And we took a look at this draft and where we were picking, and we wanted to take the best possible talent for the future. And we thought we did that with these 3 picks. And we're really happy with how we wound up. And we're also really happy and looking forward for this 2024 season.
Anything else, Emmanuel?
And Coach, talking about that, bringing this talent in and meshing it with the team, what are you looking for these 3 young ladies when they come over in the training camp?
Well, yeah. What I think what we're super excited about these players are that they're young talent. So we're not looking to bring them this year. We're looking to allow them to continue to develop. They've already shown that so far what they've been able to do at such a young age, and so we expect for them to continue to build and continue to get better over the next year or so, and be able to infuse that young talent with our group in the future.
We'll go ahead, Hunter.
Hey, for Dan, can you talk a little bit about Nadia's defensive versatility and what you saw with her game?
Yeah, she's a long, athletic wing who immediately brings energy on the court. She takes up a lot of space. She's great in the open court. And to T's point, she's 19 years old. With a athletic ability like that, she continues to hone her skill and enhance her game, playing competitively, playing professionally. We really like what the future could hold for this 19-year-old.
Anything else? We'll go to Mark. Mark, go ahead.
Hey, y'all. First off, congrats on the draft. For both of you, and starting with you, Tanisha, when you have players who, like, obviously they're playing overseas, and like you mentioned, they're not going to come over this year. How do you kind of work to still have a relationship or kind of keep tabs on them and stay in touch with them as they're still developing overseas?
Yeah, obviously that's the hard part, right? Because you're in season, but luckily there's an off season, and most of our off season is their season. So it's just about taking the time out and really going to connect with those players, showing up and showing your interest with those players. So maybe we'll head out to Australia and we'll see the Aussies. I got some friends in Australia, so it'll be nice to go connect and see these young players as they continue to develop and get better.
We'll go to Bailey. Bailey, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Bailey Burmaster from Atlanta News First, the sports director over there. I'm just curious, when you have such young players, especially 19 years old, what do you tell them about Atlanta and the WNBA when they're getting ready to make that mark?
Yeah, I think to be honest that they see the WNBA. I think this is something that they strive to get to and want to play at and show their best selves. So this is the peak league. This is the top league in the world. And so I think they have a good understanding of what the WNBA is and what that brings. But really the talk and the rhetoric and the language is to continue to just improve and continue to get better. This is where we see you guys at now. This is how you can continue to improve. So as you're going out and you're in your professional career, try to work on these things, and that'll help you as you get to the WNBA. So that's really the language. But for them to continue to go out, have fun, and enjoy the process and the journey that they're on.
And finally, we'll wrap up. Hunter, I know your hand is up again, so just one more question.
Yeah, for Dan, can you talk a little bit more about your other 2 picks with Isabel Borlase and then also with Matilda What did you see with them that made you comfortable taking that pick here?
Yeah, Borlase is a professional player, has some great Australian national team experience. Tough guard, has size for a guard. She's going to continue to develop her outside game. But, the skill set she has at that position, we think bodes well for this league. From Via's perspective, great court vision. She's a, facilitator, also getting great experience right now playing pro ball in Europe. So really, really like her ability to see the court, crafty, has some of that European game to her. And like Pooch, really excited to see how they grow from a 19-year-old into a 22-year-old. And
Now check this out, Bailey. As I'm looking here, so to just talk a little more about the WNBA draft from last night. Caitlin Clark's jersey is already breaking records. Like, sites are breaking down different.
I believe her jersey sold out within an hour after getting drafted.
Yeah, on
in
Fanatics.
all sizes.
Right.
That is dumb.
I mean, but it's
awesome. It's awesomely dumb.
I think it's just awesome. I mean, I think it's just awesomely dumb.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're just like,
Yeah.
like dumb in a good
For
type
sure.
of dumb.
I mean, just
not
think
like
about no. I mean, but just think about how many people are going to watch her first few games, and even like I say, I mean, when the Fever plays against Chicago, and we're going to have her and Angel Reese again. I mean,
when they come to Atlanta.
all right. I mean, this is great. This is big for the league. So
Very
just
big.
Great night for the WNBA and the WNBA draft.
Love it.
This past weekend, Georgia Tech wrapped up their spring football practices over at Bobby Dodd Stadium as they had their spring game. Lots of good things to see. Now, this spring game was a little bit on the confusing side as I was sitting there watching, right? Because we had quarterbacks that were playing on both sides.
Did it end in a tie, a 2020 tie, like
no.
G-Day?
No. G-Day was, G-Day. Lee didn't have glowing reviews from G-Day as far as what they were, but this one was more, there was some explosive plays in the game like that. But I think what you wanted to see, and I know like a big theme last week when they were talking about was more big plays downfield from the wide receivers, right? Because that's something they didn't have a lot of last season. Wanted to see the offense open up more. This is really, I guess you could say just, it's going to be the second full year for Brent Key. He had the half the year, just a few games his first year there. So you just want to see how this team evolves, how the offense evolves and everything like that. The quarterback play, Haynes King, how he can come back. And I thought he looked pretty sharp. On the sidelines watching that spring game. And I thought the offense looked a little more explosive. So that's one good thing that they'll have as they close out spring practices, head towards the summer, and get ready for season 2 under Brent Key. But enough of me talking about Brent Key when you can have the real Brent Key talking about how the spring went. So next up, Coach Key, here you go.
Appreciate you guys being here. It was a good ending of spring. I thought we had a good spring for 15 days. As I've talked about every week, the progression of the team, we looked at being able to come out and take each week as a singular week and improve that week, and then look back on it and see what we did well, what we've got to continue to improve on. And I think over the course of the entire spring, we made improvements as a football team. But really, to make any improvements as a team, and I say it all the time, that football is the ultimate team game. But players need to understand that they have to improve individually first. They have to show individual improvement. Coaches have to show the individual improvement to them so that they know that they're progressing. That has to happen before a position can improve, a side of the ball can improve, and then collectively as a football team we improve. So I think they took that challenge, and for 15 days of practice, the days in between were with meetings, walkthroughs, whatnot, they took those challenges and they did that. Now, that being said, we have a long way to go before we kick off in August in Dublin, Ireland. But I think we're on the right track. I think we have a chance to be a good football team this year. That's not saying we are right now. But that's why this is spring, and that's why we have spring practice. So it was good to get out there today. Really appreciate the fans that came out. That was outstanding. I thought the administration and the marketing department and did a really good job of creating a good environment to come to a football game, a spring football game in. We came out of the game injury free, which is good. We had, as everyone knows, Jackson, the first scrimmage, tore his ACL. But other than that, we've had a very productive scrimmage and stayed very healthy. The guys that have had nicks and bumps and bruises and things that happen in football, credit to the athletic training staff for getting those guys back and able to participate and be out there today. I thought the guys had fun out there. I thought it was a fun environment, but they had fun, but also went out and worked. They knew they had to work. They knew this was one more opportunity to improve as a football team. And they went out and they had a very competitive scrimmage. So everyone played, which that's always a bonus to make sure we have everyone on the football team play in the spring scrimmage. People can see them, they can enjoy it. Just the enjoyment of being out in Bobby Dodd and being on the field is a really is an experience that whether it's a scrimmage or whether it's a game play, and some of those guys that work so hard for us, they're going to remember that for the rest of their lives that might not have a chance to get into a game at some point. Captains for the game, we took 4 walk-ons and that had outstanding springs for us. And then I think you saw a couple of those guys show up today doing some really good things on the field. So thought our progress showed. It was good to see the young quarterbacks all get in there and be able to get some things done, operating. And really after the first series, we started mixing and matching and putting different guys in different spots. And it was hard at sometimes to tell what was Swarm and what was Reckham from the original rosters based on getting guys in there that we needed to see play. So, all in all, I thought it was a good spring. I'm pleased with our progression right now, but that being said, understand we have a long way to go to be a football team that we want to be this fall. So with that, we'll open with any questions.
Kelly.
How fun is it to see a guy like Chris Elko that is so selfless come out and have a day like that?
It was, if I had to guess the first question of any player on the team, I would have guaranteed everybody it was going to be about Chris Elko. So, man, what an outstanding day he had. But people have been at practice every day and seen practice. It's not surprising. He's a guy that's come in going into his second year now and has really progressed as a football player. He was an outstanding high school football player, and we're really lucky to have him here. But just to see him go out there and have a day like that and have that doesn't always happen where that many balls go your way and just based on coverage or whatnot. Now on the flip side, the guys that are guarding him, we've got to be able to keep coverage tight. And the way I look at it, it doesn't matter if the first team or the third team's out there. Everyone's coached the same standard. The same expectation is expected out of everyone that's out there. So we got some. Whenever something good happens on one side, it means you got to clean up something on the other. So, but I was happy for Chris.
Coach, not only Elko, but Bailey Stockton and Zion Taylor also had big games at the wide receiver position. Just talk about the loaded wide receiver room that you guys have with veterans all the way down to your younger guys.
Yeah, gosh. Looking at it right now, Abdul had 5 for 47. Bailey had 3 for 93. Zion, 3 for 71 and a touchdown. May or may not have been a little OPI on one or two of those out there. I don't know what the officials were looking at out there. So, other side, Malik, Elko, 4 for 136. Holy cow. Godey, Ryland had 3 for 25. Leo, you can see Leo back out there for sure. Yeah, and just the tight ends, the wide receivers. It's really good to have those guys. It's good to have the talent, but it's good the way that it's stacked by class too. As far as upperclassmen, middle time guys, and then those guys that are new to the team. So that means we should have a bright future there. I think Trent's done an outstanding job of coaching those guys up this spring, really on the finer points of playing that position, and I think it showed today.
Sure.
Coach, year 2 for you, second spring game. Of course, you have a quarterback battle last year. How much different is it this year coming into this spring game and what you've learned from this team?
Well, every team's different. Every team's new in January. I don't believe in continuation of any type of success or really failure. I mean, it's up to that team to establish its identity, and really that starts in the locker room. It's up to that the leaders on that team to emerge as leaders and build that team into what it's going to be for the season. So, really, there's no difference than last year. Same preparation, same attention to detail that we have to have as coaches and as a staff. So really, there's no different in year 1 and year 2 when it comes to the organization and the operation of a spring football game.
Coach, Chris Elko aside, can you tell us maybe some of the other players that kind of stood out to you in terms of their improvement and kind of the steps they took during the course of spring?
Yeah, gosh. I mean, I don't have a roster in front of me, so I wouldn't be doing I don't want to do a disservice to anyone that did. But, we had some young guys that just got here in January, some high school, really should be going to prom tonight, most of them. But now some of them might actually be leaving here right now to go to prom. I don't know that. But I think we have, 11 of them that, 8, 9, 11, something like that out there. So it was good to see those guys. I mean, Jamison Riggs, he went with the ones majority of the spring after Corey rolled his ankle up in the second week. And, a lot of valuable reps. As good as you think freshmen are that come in on that first week and that second week, then as that installation starts to build and the multiples start to increase on the other side of the football, whether it's offense or defense, that's when you really start to see that they're freshmen. So to have a spring game to let those guys go out and play freely with not a lot of calls on either side of the football, a pretty generic, simple game plan on both sides. It was good to see all those young guys. Kerry got out. Kerry has had a really good spring. I thought the defense did a nice job of bottling up the run for the majority of the time out there today. Then trying to think who else. I mean, I saw Tay Seymour going into his second year. Saw him flash on a couple of things. And it's not even, it's not all freshmen. I mean, Warren Burrell, I think today showed why I've been so excited about him all spring, and just the energy he brings on the field and the playmaking ability and the tight coverage he can play when he's in the game. Amari is another one who's been here for a couple of years, but is really starting to emerge as a guy on this team. It was Tana, Harrison Moore on the offensive line, Jordan Boyd. A lot of those, all those guys got a lot of reps today, and they did a lot in the springtime. So, that's the name of the game in college football is to constantly be working to build the depth of your football team. And to steal a note out of the last place I was at before here and I can talk about him now. He's retired, so I can. But with Coach Saban, it's you build your roster and constantly want to build that roster from the bottom up, and to improve that part of your football team. And as you improve the competition in that part of the football team, you continue to improve the competition all around. So I think we saw that today with the depth we have over that we're starting to build. I say we have, and we're a long way away from being where we want to be. But I think you're starting to see that depth show itself.
Coach, know it's a spring game, but on the sideline, Haynes was very animated, sending in signals. He even talked about how he hated to get out the game, but yet still he was so animated and giving signals and trying to be involved. To see that from your quarterback, in a spring game, can you talk about that leadership?
Yeah, I mean, he's as good of a leader as I've been around on the football field, and I don't say that lightly. I really don't, man. He's outstanding all the way around when it comes to that. The relationships he has with the different guys on the football team, it doesn't matter what position, what background, what side of the ball. Haynes he's a voice that's heard by everyone, and that's him. I would expect no different from him, and it rubs off on others. I mean, Jamal Haynes, he ran out on the field twice and begged me to put him back in. Malik was wanting to go all day. I mean, that's just same with Eric. I mean, that's just the way they are, and that's when you're starting to get going in the right direction with the football team.
Always good to hear from Coach Key, and let's hope for big things from Georgia Tech as they move forward. So, and let's also hope from big things from the NFL draft next week from the Atlanta Falcons. Are you ready, Bailey? Another week, another draft next week.
I know. I can't believe it's my first Falcons draft. I've been through two with Green Bay, which I don't think anything will top those two. The first year they got Jordan Love. We know how that went.
Yeah, that's pretty good
the second year, Aaron Rodgers stole the show when he said he was unhappy with the organization and wanted to trade. So that was very interesting. And then both of the times I covered the Browns, they didn't have a first-round draft pick, mostly because they went and got Deshaun Watson that second year and gave up a bunch of first-rounders for him. So it will be interesting to see what the Falcons do. I think a lot of people are leaning defensive-wise, but who knows?
Yeah, I love draft nights. My biggest memory from a draft night was I covered the 2008, well, two parts. I covered the 2018 Scouting Combine because I was covering the Browns like you did. And they had 2 first-round picks. They had 2 picks in the top 5 that year. the number 1 overall pick, they took Baker Mayfield. With the number 4 overall pick, they took Denzel Ward. So, look, it paid off. Got 2 quality players there. So, yeah, as far as the Falcons, though, I think when you look at things, it looks like defense is the way this is going for them, right? I mean, they secured the quarterback position with Kirk Cousins in this past offseason, and they spent the last few years building weapons around the quarterback position with with the tight end position and running back and wide receiver. So I think they're all good to go there. Maybe offensive line. I don't really know how they, I think they're pretty solid up front. But I think getting a pass rusher, getting someone that can affect the quarterback on the defensive side of the ball should be the priority. I'm thinking edge rusher for the Falcons.
I agree with you completely. And the funny thing about that is whatever I think the team will draft, it's never the case of what they actually
They'll
draft.
probably take a guard.
Right. It's going to be something random. Like, it's going to be like, a receiver.
Right.
And everyone's going to be like, wait, what?
Really? Right.
Yeah.
And
It's always that.
interior
Isn't that
lineman.
how it always works out?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to predict these things because
It
what
is.
we do in the media, what we feel a team needs, might be totally different from what the people who run a team thinks that team needs. So, and oftentimes they go by best player on the board too. So, I mean, it just depends on the philosophy. And historically, from what I understand, that's the way the Falcons have always gone. Best player on the board.
You also have to watch trends within the draft. Do QBs go early? Do they not?
That's true.
Do corners go early? Do they not? I think that's always something that's downplayed too, which then forces the hand of teams to have to take the best available player.
True. And I wonder if a trade back is also on the table for the Falcons too, right? Because they got
I
their
actually
quarterback.
could see them trading.
Yeah, because they got their quarterback. So, so now that they've got their quarterback, and one of the quarterbacks they brought in too, apparently they visited Spencer Rattler, who he was obviously the highly touted quarterback coming into college. And
Don't do it.
Well, I mean,
I'm not a Spencer Rattler believer.
You're not a big Spencer Rattler? I think Spencer Rattler is one of those guys, though, that maybe didn't perform the way you thought he could on the college level. For whatever reason, it didn't work out. But he has all the physical skills and physical tools.
See, I
to
still
be a
think
good
he's way
quarterback.
too small.
You think he's way too small?
Yeah, you don't think he's small?
I don't think he's a big guy. I never looked at him and thought he was way too small.
Like, he's smaller than Baker.
Really?
I think so. Like, he's probably 6 flat and not nearly as thick.
Okay. Well, look.
Are we about to pull it up?
I was going to put it real quick.
How big is Spencer Rattler?
Well, I didn't think he was that small, but look,
I also just think there's inconsistencies.
Now that there is.
And I don't. He gives me, you know what? He gives me Desmond Ritter vibes.
They got him at 6'1", yeah, so he's not a big quarterback. Yeah, you're right. Desmond Ritter vibes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, look, well, that's bad. But I think he's the kind of quarterback, though, that you see enough from a physical ability standpoint to think maybe we got something there. Maybe we can work with him.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Hey, look, NBA play-in tournament tonight gets going. Two, I guess you would think, very unfamiliar names to an NBA play-in tournament. These guys have been part of NBA Finals battles together, but LeBron James and Steph Curry are fighting for their playoff lives. Both their teams are in the NBA play-in tournament. Lakers going against the Pelicans, who they just whooped the other night, and the Warriors are going against the Kings. So what we have with the NBA play-in tournament here is the old veterans, Steph and LeBron, going against the young Bulls with the Pelicans and the Kings. I mean, I think kind of what we're witnessing here, Bailey, is a changing of the guard in NBA a little bit.
I was about to say, in what world do we live in when the Thunder get a number 1 seed?
Wow, how about that? The Thunder with the number 1 seed. Who saw that coming? That was a left-handed jab that no one saw coming to start this season.
I mean, in just these teams and how you see it and how things have progressed. You know, Denver's still really good, obviously, with the Joker, but
probably the favorites.
It's a little changing of just the times a little bit. I mean, the Celtics are still the Celtics, but I mean, let's be real though. If anyone knows how to win a playoff game, it's LeBron and Steph.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'd say the Lakers would be the favorites tonight, and probably Golden State too, because I think we're just gonna relax on the old reliables, right? Because we feel like we've seen LeBron James do it this time of year. We've seen Steph Curry do it this time of year. And so we trust them to get it done. But I think it's really going to show where some of these young teams are at right now, because they're going against the old men at the park. I mean, those of us who grew up playing basketball at the parks and everything like that, we've gone against those old 35, 36-year-old men when we were teenagers and stuff. And they got that grown man strength, and they're moving you around, and they're hard to beat because they don't want to let the young punks beat them, right? So this is Steph Curry and LeBron James going against the young punks of the NBA, and let's see how it turns out, right?
Yeah.
Real quick, what's on your mind before we get out of here?
Real quick on my mind, Atlanta Vibe coming up on Peachtree Sports Network, taking on The Rise. That is what I got.
Cool. What I got is, you know what? I don't have much more, right? I'm just excited for the NFL draft next week. I love the NFL draft time. April is a tremendous month in the sports world because it just seems like there's so much going on.
It is. Plus the Hawks, don't forget their play-in tournament game
play-in
on
tournament game
Wednesday
tomorrow.
against the Bulls. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see with them. They've been shaky all season too, so we'll see what happens there. Bailey, it's been awesome. This is Sports Tonight for a Tuesday. We'll be right back at you tomorrow with more Sports Tonight. Have a good night, everybody.